And welcome to Grandad's Reviews. This video I'm going to have a look at variable NDs. It's going to be a short, quick look of two variable NDs. Now when you go and look for variable NDs on YouTube, you get millions of videos, absolutely millions. But most of them are always saying, well, here's £20, £40, $40 cheap ND, variable ND, and here's a £200, £300, £400 or dollar expensive variable ND, and how do they compare? Well, we know that the dear one's going to be better. It's got more features with better optical glass, less chance of getting the dreaded black cross, and they have things like hard stops and such like. So they're always going to be better. So what I thought I'd do is compare two cheap variable NDs. So we've got a K&F concept variable ND and a Tide variable ND. Now the Tide comes in around about £30 and the K&F comes in around about £50, so they're in that cheaper range. So packaging wise, K&F, yep, a good sturdy box. Tide, just a basic generic box, but then again it's just a box to keep your variable ND in, so no real issue there. So look at the K&F. It's well built, slides easy, but what this and the Tide variable ND doesn't have, which I do miss, is hard stops. So you can go past the max or the minimum and just keep going. It's got varying markers on here, and we'll see later that these don't actually represent anything and might as well not be there, to be honest. Tide one, again, well built. If we compare it thickness wise, they're about the same. They're both 77mm, because that's what I use. Again, a nice turning, really stiff enough. Again, it's got markings, and again we'll see these don't mean anything, and there's no hard stops. What I thought we'd do is just do some quick tests. We'll see how it affects the sky, see when the cross starts, we'll see what these markings mean. Spoiler alert, not a lot. We'll see if there's any colour casts. So let's have a look at the first few tests. Right, so we're outside and we're going to have a look at these two cheap variable NDs and see how they react to the blue sky. We've got the sun at right angles, so hopefully we'll see if there's any darkening of the corners. So at the moment we've got the K&F filter on. So what we'll do is adjust that and see what we get. So this is with the filter set at its minimum setting. Not min there, but I'll go down to min just there. For ISO 400 f4. We'll move that to the first point. Nothing's changed. Second point. We've not gone down one whole stop. About half a stop. I'd say it's about half a stop. I've got no darkening in the corners. Next point. So now we've got one whole stop, and we're getting some darkening on the left hand side. So let's go one more. And we've gone just over that, so we've still got some darkening in that top left hand corner, nothing on the right. Let's go one more. Yep, getting darker over there. Not getting much of an X. One more. That's quite a big jump, that is. And we're getting quite a lot of darkening There we go. So that's actual stop, and oh, yep, a lot of darkening. Very dark. Now it does say max. Let's go to max, and yep, because you can see we got the cross come. So that we're getting the cross just after that last bit. Right, so we're shooting at f4, 400 ISO. We've got the tide variable ND set at minimum, which looks pretty good. We'll move that down to the first mark. Have no alteration on the meter. Second mark, still no alteration on the meter. Third mark, third of a stop. It's pretty even in the colour. Next mark, no alteration. Next one, third of a stop again. And pretty even on the blue. Next mark, nothing. Next mark, third of a stop again. Again, quite even on the blue. Next. Oh, we've got a third of a stop now. Look. Ooh, 2/3 of a stop. Blue's pretty even. Next one, third of a stop. So the actual markings are very irregular. 2/3 of a stop. Blue's very even. That's a whole stop now. Still pretty even. Next stop. It's a whole stop again. Still pretty even. Next mark. 2 stops. Wow. And we're now starting to see a cross. I think if we go any more, yeah, and there's our cross. So you can see that 2 squares from where it says max. Yeah, is where our cross starts. I don't want to go past that one, but even wise, pretty good until that spot. Right, we'll go in and do some more tests. Right, as we go through the different positions on both the KNF and the tide, I'll just see if we can see any colour casts or any strange artifacting or anything that it throws up. We're in position 6, coming up to position 7, and nope, doesn't seem to be any real change in the colours. And obviously when we get to position 9 we only can use the tide because that's where the KNF ends. But no, not really seeing any colour cast or anything like that at all. So both perform quite well. Right, we've looked at the results on the computer, and what's our final conclusion? Well, I think, in my personal opinion, the tide is the better cheap VND. The KNF darkens a little bit in the corners, even starting at a lower setting than the tide. They both create their cross well before the max setting actually on the filter itself, and the actual markings on the filter don't mean anything. They vary in different amounts of exposure they reduce. They're not consistent, so basically they needn't be there. All you really need is min and max, so you know where the bottom end and the top end is, and that max needs bringing up because, as I say, the cross starts well before the max. There's no real colour cast that I can see in the test. So my conclusion and my preferences for the tide, your mileage might vary, Different lenses might make a difference as well. But yeah, I quite like the Tide, but they both do the job that they're intended. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, that helps the channel. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. Until next time, see you later.